I wanted to talk a little bit about alcohol ink, but also mostly about brushes. So hang on. Howdy, howdy, y'all. This is Clara Lawrence, and I wanted to talk about brushes that I use with alcohol ink. You guys have seen me do some pieces like this, or some of this little guy over here, and I wanted to share a little bit about the brushes and also what you do to take care of them and such. So, let's get right to it. A lot of times you guys will see me also using my trusty paper plates and all that to work with mixing and applying my inks to my canvas from here. These are kind of my go-to palettes. Sometimes I will use these little porcelain dishes here, which are great because these particular ones are stackable. Plus you can use both sides. I wouldn't recommend at the same time. And also I've got some that are flower shaped, and of course I can't find them at the immediate moment. Yep, they're there. Hang on. Screw around my studio. These guys here. Now the cool thing about alcohol inks, I guess I'm getting off topic of brushes, oh well, is you can have them be on your palette and let them dry up and just reactivate them with either a little bit of alcohol or blending solution, and then start painting them off of that, kind of like a watercolor. You've seen watercolor palettes or trays, and you add a little bit of water, mix it up a little bit, and then your paint's fluid again. You can use it and apply it to that. So I'm reaching across my studio all over the place here. So having some palettes with colors ready to go is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, there are some palettes that are like big plastic trays that have a whole bunch of little cavities, kind of like, again, like watercolor, and you can load them up with your colors and have them there all the time if you do a lot of painting and such. So, in fact, I've got one on order for myself because I find me doing that a lot. Okay, I have to have fun with it, right? Okay, so on to the brushes. To be really, really honest with you, I don't normally use my really nice brushes. I think I got this at one of the craft stores like Michael's or Hobby Lobby and such, and I thought, oh, it's like a little unicorn horn. That'll be kind of fun. And I knew that this would be more of a novelty kind of thing, and I wasn't too worried about the quality of the brush. And the reason for that is alcohol is going to be really kind of rough on the bristles. So I don't want to use my nice brushes. However, I do have one nice brush here. But pretty much what you're looking for is something that is soft, like such, so it can pick up the liquid easily. A lot of your acrylic brushes will do that. And whether they're hair or synthetic, I don't think either one of them matters, just as long as, you're not having really, loose hairs on here. Like if you were to pick up a batch of brushes like at Michael's, that you would do a paint by numbers thing or something like that, you'll have those really small synthetic bristles. Hang on a sec, I'll go get some. Okay, such as these guys here. They're kind of little plastic, I don't know if you can see them be shiny and stuff. Here, let me zoom in. Plastic bristles there. Now, these could possibly work, but because they're so stiff as far as the fibers and stuff, you're probably gonna have some brush strokes with that. Now, if that's something you're looking for and you want a little bit of texture, then go right ahead. But if you want something that's gonna have some smoother blends in here, now remember I'm super zoomed in, and see, you're not really seeing brush strokes, you're seeing more of a water kind of wash in effect here. Then you'll want to go with something that has softer bristles. So for the most part, I stay away from these guys, but I definitely use something like this that's much more, the bristles you can see are fine and they're soft. So again, not a very expensive brush. And the other thing I wanted to also show you is as far as cleaning them, I usually go with the two kind of step process. Let me zoom out a little bit. What I'll have is I'll have 2 cups here that have a little bit of alcohol. One of them will have a tendency to be a little dirtier than the other one will be. The other one will be as clean as possible. And I'll have a paper towel handy. In fact, let me get set up and I'll show you. All right, I'm getting my brush nice and dirty just for you guys. Okay. Of course, I'm doing this also with my left hand, which is interesting. Let's switch hands here. Ha-ha. All right, move that out of the way. So, whether your brush is wet or dry, the same process goes into effect. And what I'm going to do here is bring this closer just so that you can see. All I'm going to do is put my brush in the alcohol one time quickly, come out, dab it onto my paper, kind of both sides, and let the paper pull the alcohol ink out. This is weird looking through the camera and doing this at the same time. And what I'm trying to do is get as much of the dirty liquid as I can, or what I think is dirty, in other words, I don't want it in my brush, out first before I go to my clean alcohol. So I'm going to continue with this process. I might even speed this up a little bit. I don't know. I'll have to see. That way I'm not rubbing my brush around in my alcohol too much, because this will get dirty in a hurry. And a little bit of ink is not too much of a problem. What I do find interesting is my little blotting paper towels at the end when I'm done with my project end up being really, really interesting looking, because the alcohol will reactivate any big bold colors and such, and they'll become almost kind of like a little watercolor thing. Okay, so you notice here that the alcohol is just barely tinted. Okay, so at this point I could either rub it around like that. Now granted, my water now is a very light lavender. I'm going to show you. Let's see if I can do it in a way. I didn't want to put the alcohol right immediately over. See, it's a little bit of lavender, clear. And you can see the tint of that. So now that that's done, I'm going to put that to the side. And I'm doing with a fairly clear brush, or clean brush. So I'm going to kind of repeat the process. I usually do this towards the end when I'm done and I want to clean up my brushes. I'll do it part of the way while I'm in the process of working. In fact, I might even have a brush designated to, say, blues and purples and cool colors, and then one designated towards warm colors if I need to be careful of that. Okay, so if you notice there's hardly any color coming off now, so I feel fairly confident to go ahead and swoosh it around. I would normally hold this with my other hand too. And my brush is now clean. Yay! And then I will just kind of rotate it around as I'm wiping it. And then usually within a short period of time it will dry. Now, a weird thing does happen when you let your brushes dry. They're kind of hard. Now, don't go cracking them and push it down to make it work. And this one also has some yellow to it too. It's reactivating because of that. What I'll do is reactivate the alcohol that's in here. See, it's picking up some yellow on that. And you'll notice it'll get soft pretty quickly. And then I'll normally go through the same process and make sure this brush is nice and clean. But when I'm all done, I'll take it over to the sink, put a little bit of dishwashing soap on here. Or actually what I'll do is I'll put it on the palm of my hands and then rub the brush around with water in my hands and clean them up. In fact, the same little blob of soap I'll do up a bunch of brushes and get them all nice and clean with soap and water, and then put them, rinse them off and let them dry. So that's pretty much all you need to do to take care of your brushes on that. But I would recommend soap and water occasionally just to clean off your bristles and make them happy. All right, I do want to add, if you have a brush that has white alcohol ink, I would recommend that you wash it and have it nice and clean immediately after you're done with your project. And a white alcohol ink, you may want to use blending solution to clean it up. I've got a little bit blending solution here, and I've also got a brush here that has some metallics on it. So I'm hoping that that will react. This is so awkward to do with just one hand. All right, let's try this. Nope. Nope. All right, come on, get on there. I'm just letting it soak up for now. Let's see if it softens up. Barely. Okay, we're gonna try alcohol ink. Sorry, not alcohol ink, but alcohol. This has some metallic. It's been on here for a while. I was a bad girl. All right, it's starting to work its magic. It's coming off a little bit. So just be patient with it. If you have accidentally left ink on your brush, just be patient with it and take your time. Whatever you do, try not to crack it, because it's tempting because they're stiff and you want to go. Don't do that. In fact, this has got actually a lot of alcohol. Did you hear it crack just a second ago? I'm just going to keep turning it slightly, and it's taken off the metallic little bit by little bit. Sometimes the blending solutions work out better for removal. Sometimes it's alcohol. In this case, alcohol was talking to it. So we want to get to the point where we're not seeing much metallic, if any at all. So there's still a little bit in there. This is super exciting video, I know. Whoop, see, it's really starting to come off now. Okay. So now I'm gonna dip. So I'm not gonna turn my alcohol into a complete silver sludge. It is amazing how much the fibers do soak up, especially right at that point where the metal grips the fibers. That little area in there, a lot of alcohol ink goes in there because it's such a fluid solution. It just seeps right into the hairs with no problem whatsoever. Okay. You almost always get some right at that point. I'm putting a little bit of pressure on there, trying to get it to come out. Okay, I'm almost there. Whoops. I'm so zoomed in I couldn't tell I was at the edge of the table. Okay, so now I'm gonna get a little aggressive with it. And that should do it. Yep, all better. And I would normally just go and take this over to the sink and do the soap and wash trick on it. So, or not soap and wash trick, but take care of it with soap and water. Alrighty, guys. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell with taking care of your brushes. So have fun, and I'll see you later. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, but definitely hit the bell to get notified next time I put a video up. There you go.